you everything on?
Hi, my name is Donaldson. I used to always preface my talks by saying that I'm here to demonstrate that everyone that works in conservation in this country hasn't got a 70s haircut, a beard, and wears sandals. I never wear sandals, and I don't work for a conservation organisation anymore, so it's not true. I've tried to look at the web, and hopefully this talk is to try and demonstrate how much of a living system that the web actually is, Web 2.0 in particular. So I've kind of gone through, washed through all of the different things that interest me, and hopefully put together something that gives you an idea of maybe an alternative way of looking at it, or a different way of thinking about the web, or Web 2.0 in particular. My idea about this knowledge ecologist and the ecology of the web came from this Victor Shelford, who's an American biologist. His definition of ecology is the science of communities. And I think that that's a really, really valid description of how we're looking at the use of Web 2.0 and looking at social software. So I think that it's kind of an appropriate metaphor to use. And it's also about the study of complex systems and interactions, and it's the interactions that are kind of the most interesting. So what we had when we had just the internet and people starting to develop applications and use it and work with it, were in fact the kind of the starting conditions for Web 2.0. And what seemed to happen is that it started to grow, things started to develop, things started to get away, and they were completely unconstrained at the start. There was no feedback mechanisms. It was just develop what you want and put it on there and see what works, see what people will use. The free to use, Ewan mentioned earlier this morning, that's kind of critical to it. If there's a cost, you think, well, I'm not going to join it because I can't see the benefit. If it's free, why not have a go, set it up, and I can always leave it behind if it doesn't do what I want or it doesn't connect to the right people. And there's a huge overproduction. There's a huge number of Web 2.0 sites out there, far too many for any of us to try them all and to go out and use. So it's just like organisms coming into a new land that, when the Ice Age went and everything came to Britain and started to grow, it's exactly the same sort of landscape, a completely empty landscape, and there's overproduction, too many seeds, too many children, too many young bats or whatever, all being developed at the same time. So that's the kind of starting conditions that we're working with. And what's happening is that each of the new sites that spring up have got that novelty. And that's the same thing that happens in survival of the fittest and survival of species. Novelty starts to develop, and it's the novelty that interests us. That's a novel way of doing that. Oh, this is a good idea. Let's all move to this. And so it's diverging rapidly. It's growing out and out and out, and there are lots and lots of them about. So what that leads to in nature, and as we can see it on the web, is that you start to get competition. So your Facebook starts to compete with MySpace. Which one's the best? Is it different? Should I be using both? And so you start getting direct competition and start fighting for new customers and new people on their system. Some systems move to their own specialised niche. Things like Flickr have gone to just doing photographs and everything that to do with photographs. Doppler has gone to just doing things about people travelling and where they travel to. So they're starting to look for a niche and trying to get there and hold that niche as early as possible. Some things are starting to coexist. Facebook and Flickr don't seem to be competing. They seem to work together so that they like this almost symbiosis. You can hold the photographs, we'll hold the social connections, and we'll try and interact and try and connect those as best we can. And you're also starting to get what happens in the natural world, domination and wipeout. Some things come in, they start to dominate, and they wipe out all of the smaller ones. So you can bet your life that a lot of the smaller quills that have come up, as good as they are and as novel as they are, will not survive simply because people won't have the energy, if you like, to keep them going in the face of these big competitors. And the interesting thing almost like a genetic thing that the species in the past developing, the new websites are starting to inherit each other's variations. So what started out on Amazon as some of the sales and eBay in terms of feedback is starting to be put into other systems. What Friends Reunited just used to be put your school on and your connections. Now it's trying to become Facebook. They're each trying to inherit the variations and the different novelties of the other systems to try and become all-encompassing and the best one that can survive. So if you go to this website that I just found the other day, go to web2.0.net. It says it lists every single Web 2.0 site that there is. And it goes on down for pages and pages and pages and pages. And each one's a button, so you can press let's eat that, or let's bloggirls.com, or any bite. And each one of them has within it its own little social networking, its wiki side of things, and it's just unbelievably big. And you start to get to realise the sheer amount of novelty and the sheer amount of ideas that are out there. So we have diversity, we have a huge overproduction, we've got lots and lots and lots of sites out there. What happens next? Well, in nature what starts to happen is that the system starts to constrain itself. Things that appear within that natural system start to control and start to direct. So it's not like management, it's not like proper, direction and targets and measuring objectives. It's not that sort of thing. It's the feedback from above starts to help to direct things that occur below.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sorry.